everyone, and welcome to my show. This is your host, SABIA KHATUN on podcast. And today we are going to look at quite an interesting topic, which is when kids are due to go back to school fairly soon, and it's the new academic year. And going back to school is our topic, which I have a few interesting guests I will introduce you to shortly. We will be looking at concerns and issues, not only from a teaching perspective, but also a couple of parents who have children of their own at different age groups, and also talking about, do they feel safe? Do they feel, it's a good thing? Do they feel there's every measure that there could be, is there in the school, not only for the teaching staff, the parents, but also for the children? How do our children feel about all of these things? So we will be looking at various different things, not only what's happening in the UK, but I also have a special guest who's kindly giving his time from USA. So without much ado, I will introduce you to my first guest, if I may introduce Mr. Mohammed Malique, who is not only a son, a brother, a father. I think he's almost going to be a grandfather soon as well, if I can say it. But hello and welcome to Mr. Malique from USA in Atlanta.
Thank you so much allowing me to join, Sabia. And if I can contribute today to this show, to the audience. So I thank you all and all the other guests as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope to talk about our thoughts, views, and we'll be really delighted to know your views on that. My next guest I have is Mr. Sirajul Basith Choudhury. I hope I've got that correct there. Who's a primary school teacher and has kindly given his valuable time with us today. Welcome to the show, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much, SABIA KHATUN. Thanks to you. Thanks to LB24, your viewers, as well as
we're on podcast today. Okay. We're on podcast, although LB24 is an association.
Oh, sorry.
With us.
Podcast. Yeah. Podcast. My apology. And also two of your guests. They're joining, one from USA, Mr. Malique, and other guests as well from this country.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure to join with you guys.
Thank you. And last but not least, I have with me Miss Juhaina Junaid, who's a parent based here in London as well, and again given us her valuable time. Thank you for joining me, Juhaina, and welcome.
Thanks, Sabia. Thanks for inviting me to the show. I'm really looking forward to this discussion, as I think it's an issue close to our hearts for all the parents, and I think all the viewers who are going to be joining us today. I'm very excited about the coming discussion, and hopefully
Thank you.
Let's go for it.
Yes, right. Well, our concerns are children going back to school, whether primary school age, secondary school age. I have one less to worry about, to be honest. The first is graduated, and she thinks it's all over. Education is finished. She doesn't have to be around people, and she's saying thank God. But I do have a 15-year-old who will be going back to study for her GCSEs, which is a very, very important year, as you can imagine, because we have yourselves. I've got a couple of guests here, who have got teenage children, and it's very different, from the primary level to the teenage level, and the challenges that we're going to be faced with. If I may ask, if I may start with our teacher, Mr. Choudhury. If you could give us maybe some sort of maybe reassurance. I know you are in the UK, and I would like to hear what our USA guests may have to say about the systems over there, and how safe do we feel for our children, and how safe do we feel for ourselves, not only as parents but teachers as well. So if I could ask Mr. Choudhury, if you can give us something from your point of what measures are being taken place in the school environment to make us feel a little bit reassured.
Thank you very much. So your topic is very important topic, back to school. And as you know, students, including young children, primary and secondary, they haven't been in school since last March, so about 5 months, most of them. However, we taught some children, key workers' children, about 5 to maybe 15% students in primary and also secondary school. We taught them over the last few months, excluding summer holiday. This time, we are getting ready to welcome children from September. And as you know, COVID is still there, but it's not like it's coming is towards downwards trend. What we did as a teacher, we had few meetings. We had Zoom meeting. We've been in school as well before summer holiday. We had risk assessments, being done. Clear directions about how the children will enter into the schools through different playground, different gates, and also the timing of schools. So what time they will start. In the past, before COVID, students used to come in primary school. I'm talking about, including my school. They used to come through one gate or maybe two gates. Now we have 3 or 4 gates. So maybe 2 years coming through one gate, another 2 years coming through other gates, and the third of young children that are coming through other gate. And also timing is different, 9 o'clock, 9:50, 9:30.
Oh, so you've staggered the starting
staggered,
and finishing time.
That's right. And finishing time also staggered as well. So they are not going to meet each other. However, some of the siblings, they might be in the different year group. So what parents can do, they are directed already how they would come to collect the, one group of children or some children first, or there are 1 or 2 children first, then the 3rd or 4th children afterwards. So there is a very clear direction and clear instructions were given to the parent. That's one thing. And we are not expecting parents to come inside the school's gate, particularly. So if something necessary, they will come to the reception, and the reception, the school reception would allow them to come inside, and they will talk. Obviously, there is a transparent partition there they can talk through. Hand sanitizers were placed in almost, I would say, many locations. When you enter into the classroom, near the staircase, school gate, everywhere hand sanitizer. So, and they were told, there are instructions given there what to do and how to walk. Obviously, you have to maintain. Still in schools, we are maintaining distance when they go. Obviously, when students will be coming back in September, we are expecting all students will be back. So this is a difficult. We have never faced this kind of situation.
So it's an expectation. What do you think? Are you really thinking that this expectation of all children will come back? Do you feel that is the case, or is it because now that the government has put in that it's not going to be as relaxed as it was in the beginning, where they said it's okay, there aren't going to be any fines? I mean, again, this is our UK system. I'm not sure yet what the US system was then, which we will hopefully find out a little bit from Mr. Malique later. So do you feel it's the pressure that families and parents feel?
Well, we can't give 100% safety, obviously, but we are maintaining all the precautions. Now, we would like to welcome all the students as they have been away for a long time, 5 months. Now, in schools, we have created different bubbles. So say year 1, there are 2 or 3 classes, is one bubble. Year 3, one bubble. Year 4, one bubble. So within the bubble, the adults and students, they are working together. They have to be separated from other groups. So say, for example, if I'm teaching in year 1 and I have other colleagues, we are kind of mixing, but trying to maintain some distance, but we are within one bubble. So we are not going to mix with another bubble. If any of us become unwell, what will happen? That whole bubble will be asked not to come to school. That's the bottom line. So it's a very strict measure being taken, but there are many bubbles. And if I wish to see a colleague, maybe I can see later on after school, or even from far, and we are having meeting through Zooms. We are not going to meet or having the social gathering what we used to do before. However,
so that comes to my question of the large assemblies that take place. I know, I mean, when I spoke with a few other schools, head teachers, that majority of schools are not going to be having these large assemblies. Is that something we're taking away from the kids, or is there another way that maybe these assemblies, which are a very important part of schooling?
Yes, it is.
If I remember traditionally, going back 20, 30 years, assembly was one of the, major important parts. First thing in the morning, last thing before school finishes. How is that going to be?
Okay, what we did, we are given training about all this digital system nowadays, and school is equipped, and extra technician, extra cleaners we have employed in schools. So what is going to happen through, like we are doing now through online? So we have got system like in school, we have got every class they have got smart board. So through this system, actually, the whole class can join in assembly. So we talked about how we can join the whole school through a system, online system, so we can continue doing assembly online, not like mixing together in a whole, bigger hall, 300 students. So we are trying to keep everything open like that, but obviously we are restricting mixing. That particular thing we have to do because of safety guidance we are following from the Education Authority and the Tower Hamlet Council where I work. Every council, they have got some guidelines. And also we negotiated with the teaching union, head teachers union, and schools.
I will come back to that. I will come back to that, Mr. Choudhury, because there are a few points I want to mention on that. If I can ask, I mean, Mr. Malique from USA, Atlanta, you've heard a little bit of the I don't know if I can call it chaos, what's going on in the UK. We are trying to sort of like, it sounds like our best to make it as inviting, as safe as possible for our children to go back to school. Not only, for the teachers to feel like, hold on, we've got to protect ourselves, but at the same time, we've got to make sure the children are safe. So, Mr. Malique, you've heard a little bit about what's going on in the UK. Could you tell us, I mean, I would like to hear your view from the parents' side, but also what do you know is going on in the schools where you are? I know you're a father of 5 and you just look amazing for that, if I can say that,
Thank you.
And if you can kindly tell us a little bit about yourself and the age group of the children that you have, and then if you can just tell us a little bit about what is going on in the USA with going back to school.
Thank you again, Sabia, giving me the opportunity to speak. So my identity right now, I'm a father. I have a beautiful wife, 5 children, and my move to, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. So when I first came to this state, to find a better school for my children. My oldest daughter was 5, and I felt living in New York, I could not find a better school. So anyway, so that's what my first move. So school is very important to me, to my family, my children. So as you said, I have 5 children. My oldest is 22. She is just finished 4-year, from the Augusta University.
She graduated, yeah?
Correct, yes, she graduated. And I don't know, you can see in the back her graduation certificate on the wall.
Yeah, proud father, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, second is my son. He also graduated from Georgia State University. He's doing his master's now in Georgia Tech. Also, he's a full-time. He works with a Norfolk Southern train company as a head of technical team.
Brilliant.
My second daughter is a second year student at Georgia State. My
Right.
youngest daughter, she just finished high school, so
Okay.
she's the first year, and
Yeah.
everyone's class started this Monday, by the way.
How old is she at the moment?
18.
18.
My
Okay,
youngest,
so
yes,
yeah. So a high school for us in UK is referred to as, I think, college levels, where
correct. Yeah, two
they
years. Like
do. Yeah,
our
yeah,
our high school is 12
yeah.
years.
Mm.
So
What
um,
about your secondary school? Yeah.
so my youngest is the son who is 15,
Mhm.
and since he's the baby of the house, my wife decided to give him, we teach him at home, what we call homeschooling, because all of
Okay. That's,
our children are out, in the colleges, some living in the dorm,
mm,
and he is studying. He's becoming a hafiz, so he finished 22 juz. So
okay.
he attend the Quranic class full time,
Right.
which is
Right.
Monday to Friday from 8 o'clock
Okay.
until
But
3
that's
afternoon.
homeschooling for him, which is very different
Yes,
than
yes. So
going.
in the
Yeah.
state of Georgia, because of the pandemic, what happened? Let me just go back a little bit. When
Right.
initially the pandemic started, state of Georgia wasn't very much affected. The reason
Right.
is we live sort of far away from each other.
Right.
The population here is not that much. It's a huge state,
Hmm.
so everything was okay. But as soon as the governor decided to open the state, about let's say
Right.
8 weeks ago, uh, the pandemic came back, and the rate was, I believe, was about 600%. So
Right.
since then, they put a lot of measures, especially for the students, since our school year started on Monday.
Hmm.
Our county, which is Fulton County, one of the biggest county in the state of Georgia, not
Right.
allowing any student to attend schools.
Right.
What they did and what they're doing right now, obviously, they gave every student in Fulton County, the way
Hmm.
to connect to the school system via some sort of internet connectivity. They provided the devices to students. But our neighboring counties, because the state of Georgia ran in a way, I'm not sure how the
Right.
England does.
Right.
They have their
Okay.
own authority, local, we
Yeah.
call it the local, then the
Okay.
state. Local
Yeah.
authority decided, they
Right.
decide on county to county basis. So our
Right.
neighboring county, which my sister-in-law is a teacher,
Right.
had to attend schools. The
Okay.
way they're doing it, they're taking very few number of students, about,
Hmm.
I believe, in her class, there were 12 students. They're
Right.
allowed 12 students to attend the class, and the rest will be joining via internet or via,
Right.
like we are doing right now.
Yeah.
That's in the neighboring county. And similarly, we have many counties in this particular state, and
Right.
every county has a different, some counties allowing,
Right.
some
So
counties,
yeah. So it's
the
very
teacher
different.
union,
Yeah. Very, very different.
yeah, teacher union very, very
Mm.
strong, like in our county. So
Right.
teacher union decided not to attend live classes.
Right.
That reason alone, they had to sort of agree with it,
Mm.
and
Okay.
providing the
I have to, yeah, I have to ask this, Mr. Malik. When we send our children to school, whether it's, I mean, I've had to experience almost 5 months of homeschooling because of the pandemic. And the first thing in my thought is what's happening to the mental well-being of my child, because children, not only children, I think us, we all as human beings, we need interaction. And, if the child is studying from home, how long does one carry on independently without having that, interaction with other children? What do we feel, of their mental well-being? Can you sort of
it's,
like say a little bit
it's
about
a
that?
great it's a great question. I believe children should interact. This learning in the school. I mean, when I did it back home, it's all about seeing many people, talking to many people.
Mm,
When I was a class 5 student in primary school, I remember I was what we did a scholarship called Britti
right.
in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And only we studied among the class ourselves, but we had to gather after school, and it was a lot of fun. So
Right.
what's happening in our in our state, and especially in the U.S., is very, very difficult for parents as well. Think about it,
Mm.
and parents has to work, and if their kids are home, they have
Yeah.
extra burden, extra responsibility. They have to make sure the kids are
Yeah.
safe if they're working.
Yeah.
So what is happening lately, I seen even the corporations allowing parents to work from home. Most of the
Right.
workers in our state, I'm not sure about the other state, but probably the same. They're allowing the worker to work, if it's possible, from home.
Yeah.
Our state is a
Mm.
little more independent state, what we call red state. It's a Republican
Right.
state. Republican
Okay.
state tend to have their own rules, means
Mm.
more openness. You can do more things yourself.
Yeah.
But I think lately we see a lot of curbs, means if you go any place now, any
Right.
place, no matter where it is, you have to wear mask. It's mandatory now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
People are precaution, they're wearing gloves as well. So
Yeah.
mask is the must in here.
Right.
Obviously, since our county is not allowed school,
Mm.
my
Is
children.
this in the, sorry, is this in the schools that we're talking about? The
Mhm.
mask that has to be worn, is that made compulsory where you are?
Absolutely compulsory now. Any gathering, doesn't
Right.
matter. You go
Okay.
to a shop, you go to a barber shop, it will be a sign posted, I
Okay.
think,
Yeah.
everywhere. You have to wear mask.
Okay. All right. So the school that I'm talking about, for example, you've got a daughter who goes to high school. Are they required to wear a face mask in the actual school, or are they being told in certain areas maybe they will have to wear? What is what is it like over there on
Just
that?
to correct a little bit, my daughter just finished high school, so she graduated.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so she's going to the first year college, and
All right.
they have to. Yes. By the
All
way,
right.
the way their class is happening is
Mhm.
for my oldest, which is my 22-year-old.
Yeah.
What they decided is they will do, let's say, every 3 weeks, I believe, they have to attend a class in
Okay.
person, right? Which
Hmm.
is they have to attend, go to the university, and the rest will
Right.
be online. So like today,
Okay.
if I'm listening,
Hmm.
all my children are doing online classes right now as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because okay, we do have a very big time difference. I mean, it's what is it? Just coming on to being 1:30 in the afternoon in USA at the moment, right?
No, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. We're 5 hours,
2:30 in the afternoon. Yes.
behind
Yes.
you.
So yeah, I mean, some of the kids are still in school, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Normally, kids
Okay.
will finish like around, depending on what
Yeah.
classes you're in.
Okay.
So they have like,
Sure.
because of the very heavy,
Yeah.
I mean, we have
Yeah.
so many children. So in regular school
Definitely.
time,
Yeah.
because of the buses to be run properly, so they start
Yeah.
group, let's say, very early in the morning, 6 o'clock. Then they will do
Hmm.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock,
Okay.
9 o'clock. Similarly, when they
Okay.
release the student, same way they will do it,
Okay.
slowly.
Sure.
Right now, as
Okay.
I
If
know,
I
and I
can
talked
come,
to my
yeah.
huh?
Yeah. If I can come
my
back to you, yeah,
thank
if I
you.
can come back to you again on that, Mr. Malik, I just want to have a little brief a comment and a brief moment with Juhaina, who's another parent here in London, UK. You've heard so far, Juhaina, what's going on with USA, and Mr. Choudhury kindly mentioned what's happening, what measures are being put in the UK schools. How are you feeling about it? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how many children and what age groups they are, and what are they attending primary, secondary age schools? And how are you feeling about all of this? What's going through your mind, and
So
what's the children going through?
I'm a mother of two. I've got one in primary and one who's just gone into high school. So one in year 5, going into year 6 now this year, when the September session starts. And my eldest, who's the daughter, she's in year 8 now. So
Mm-hmm.
both of them in school. The high school didn't restart during the COVID lockdown, at the end of the COVID lockdown when it stopped, because I also worked for environmental health. So
Mm-hmm.
in the environmental health in the government, local government sector. So I was
Mm-hmm.
an essential worker as well at that time. And
Right.
my son was able to go back to the classes, even though the initial time I didn't put him in. But then I think one of my greatest concern was that them staying at house, being locked up
Right.
from their social network, and also the classroom study, not just classroom study. I think the group study. We're parents. We're not
Yeah.
trained teachers, and it's difficult. At least I found it difficult with my
Definitely.
full-time work and my time that I had to give for the teaching. And hats off to the teachers, Mr.
Mm.
Choudhury. I think I'm ever grateful to all the teachers who've taught my children, because after this lockdown, I know how hard it is,
Yeah.
even more so. So I am actually very
Definitely.
positive about the kids going back to school. I know a lot of people have concerns about vaccines, etc. And I think
Mm.
you have to look at it from risk point of view. And if you kind of look at, if you have children who are going to school, they are less likely to be affected by
Yeah.
COVID. And then the person who can be more affected is the adults who are teaching the kids. But then
Mm.
again, even if you have that sort of a situation, how likely is it to get affected if you don't have any underlying conditions? I think
Mm.
the worst time of COVID has gone. Because I think many of the people who could have got affected at one go got affected, and NHS was really
Mm.
struggling to cope with that. But
Yeah.
then again, now kids going into school, yes, they will possibly become a carrier. Yes, they are a carrier, and they are likely to continue to be a carrier of the virus. But then, if you kind of think about it, okay, we locked ourselves up because of this
Mm.
virus.
Yeah.
Now, we've locked ourselves up. We said, okay, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to do
Yeah.
any economic activity. We're not going to
Right.
take the kids into school. We've kind of stopped life as we knew it. But
Mm.
is that the right thing to do? Because you have to always assess on the
Mm.
basis of risk. How
Of
much
course.
risk is it? If it were the children were going to be affected so badly,
Mm.
then yes,
Mm.
I would be all for do
Mm.
not send the children to school. But
Yeah.
you know
Well,
what?
this is a question we can maybe ask Mr. Choudhury to elaborate on. I know you touched upon the fact
Yeah.
that the schools are doing risk assessments, Mr. Choudhury.
Yes.
Maybe, I mean, the concern Juhaina has, and also myself, I mean, even though it's a secondary school, there are probably different kinds of risk assessments being taken place, but also how challenging is it to maintain social distancing with primary school age group children to our secondary school age group? Because all I'm thinking of is a 5-year-old running around like crazy. And how many 5-year-olds will the adults run after to keep that safety? How will it work? I mean, if Mr. Choudhury can
It's a genuine
say
concern.
something on
Definitely,
that. Yeah.
Johanna, you have raised this as a parent. I 100% agree with you. What happened since April? We have been teaching children, excluding the summer holiday. I myself taught children as well. That time only we had few children, few students in primary school. So what we did, we had like a 10, 11, 5, 7, like these children in the class,
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
class. So that time we maintained the distance, we maintained all the safety measure 100%, I would say, or 99%, 99.9%. But we don't know what is going to happen in September. This is the first time we are going to try actually
Yeah.
to have all the students back in the class. But what we did, as I mentioned earlier, as government said, and also the parent, Johanna, you mentioned about the transmission rate among the children is very minimum, and also children can transmit to
Yeah.
others. However, those adults or students have underlying issues. They were advised separately what they should do,
Mm.
or whether they should attend, or whether they should stay at home, and online support can be given to them, or through
Mm.
learning packs, through other means they will be supported from school. But those are healthy. They are not suffering from any kind of disease, including fever or any kind of underlying issues. Obviously, GPs, doctors, they have to give the notes on that particular issue. We are expecting they will attend school from September, but this is the first time we'll be experiencing all the students in a class. But however, we are trying to maintain the bubble. Within the bubble, we will be maintaining very strict guidance. We have temperature. Will be when it's necessary. We have like a face mask is not recommended within the class. Obviously, outside where some occasions might be, but secondary school students are advised they can. But primary schools we are advised not to, because interaction sometimes is very difficult when you talk to the students. If you have mask on, it's very difficult because our body language, body expression is very important. When you teach a child.
Can I just say something about the face mask for the children? I mean, as an adult myself, I feel. There's a lack of oxygen, even when I have it for 5 minutes on, running to the supermarket to get my essentials and, to be around crowds, just 5 minutes, all it takes. And then it's like, you just feel, things are slowing down. Now, how healthy is that? I mean, again, I suppose it's a question for a doctor, but us personally experiencing it, and also with a primary school age child, if that child is one of those children where it's a special needs child and, they have issues like asthma, for example, that's a big risk assessment. How are you working around situations like that?
May I answer that question? And
yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
The teacher is fantastic. I love them. Since I'm in PPE business, what I supply personal protective equipment to the U.S. government. That's one of my area.
Okay.
There are the mask, that the proper mask. If you it's very feasible. You can purchase it, but you have to get the right mask. Okay. Especially for adults, you can use a 3-ply mask, which is absolutely fine. There is no issue. Second, to the children, there are masks you have to buy. A mask will say whatever the number is at the end. You will say S, which is small, right? So you're not covering, almost covering the eyes of the children. For regular masks for the adults, they should not look for N95 or 3M. You don't need to. You need to regular 3-ply mask, which is very much breathable. So we did a study, and I wish I was known. I could have bring it together for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Cover your face, right? You can 100%. You can breathe. Your oxygen level. We tried with so let's say if I put a mask on, if I connect to check my oxygen level, right? Your oxygen level won't drop even at digit. Absolutely.
Okay.
So
maybe this is something our UK government need to look into, maybe, and maybe our schools need to look into going forward.
I think there is too much misinformation, right? Too much misinformation about the mask and the others. If you get the right mask, see what happened.
Definitely.
Everybody's becoming a mask specialist today.
Right. Yeah.
The mother making the mask at home, father making one. Somebody using the lungi, the dutti, the gamsa, and
exactly. Anything to help breathing.
Yeah. A 3-ply mask will cost you probably few pence in England. In the US, probably 25 cents. Get it, wear it. I have it for my children. My wife bought it from. We have it in every level possible. If you drive in her car, we have even for the guest. So 3-ply mask, a regular mask, is breathable. And if you don't trust me, go test it. Your oxygen level will stay at the maximum before you started, after you started. It's a phobia, what we call it. Anything.
It is.
Anything that
I don't suffer from asthma or anything. I mean, as an adult, but even when I've asked, some of the children that I know, and my 15-year-old, it's like, how much longer do we keep on? And again, it's like, it has to be the right type,
Also,
I mean, what do you think
I don't
about
disagree
the
with the teacher, but one thing I have to mention,
yeah,
absolutely, I can assure you, and I can have a data because see, I have a lot of study I done. I have a biomedical company.
right.
When you're wearing
That's
mask and you're
good.
talking, if you record it, let's say if I wear a mask and I start talking, you will hear me the same.
Okay.
There will be
So it
no
sounds like it's a
audio.
specialized, yeah, it's a specialized kind of a mask, isn't it?
No, 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 absolutely not. I'm
No?
talking about a regular three-ply. Obviously, you need to buy a good mask. You need to
Mm,
look at the manufacturer approved by your local authority, like in the US. What we
right,
use called FDA or CDC approved mask. You have to see the
right.
old mask you
Yep,
buy. Some of the
yep,
masks come to the market because it's a vast business right now.
right.
With the
Yeah,
mask, people are producing called fake mask, right? You should stay away
right.
from it. You don't need to buy a 3M expensive mask or N95 mask. You should get
Mm,
a regular mask. A three-ply
hmm.
mask is good enough for you to protect you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's very valuable information because it's something we're learning new now because we have to adapt to new lifestyles, it seems like. So, again, my question back to Mr. Chowdhury about the children, where we have our special needs children, for example, how hard, how challenging do you think teachers will be faced with in if that child was to wear a mask, or if an adult was to, I mean, how do you go
I,
about
I mean,
having, because with a special needs student
yes.
child, there's that close contact that has to be met, right?
Well, obviously, yes, it was a normal situation. But Muhammad Malik, what he mentioned about the mask, I never come across that kind of mask. Anyway, I find sometimes difficult when I. Anyway, so
Definitely, yeah.
maybe there are very special type of masks. But young children, it will be very difficult to have mask on while they are
Yep,
playing or while they are in the classroom
definitely,
receiving
yeah.
lessons. It's very, very difficult, and they're very young as well. So recommendation is by the government and by the not only the government, the chief medical officer in primary school. It is not necessary. That's why they are
Right,
saying it. It is not
right,
necessary in this country. It is not
right.
necessary to wear mask unless they go somewhere to a very close contact and they don't have to do certain things.
Right.
Maybe that situation, but secondary school, they are saying yes. Secondary school, they might have
Mm,
to wear mask in some situations, but primary
mm,
schools is not recommended. However,
right,
the masks are available in school if any adults or
right.
anybody they have particular reason to use masks, they are
Yeah.
allowed probably, as far as I
Mm,
know. However,
mm,
as I said earlier, September we were welcoming students.
mm.
USA, when this brother Malik mentioned about in his state, only 12 students are coming. In our school, minimum 25 to 30 students
Exactly.
will be
Yes,
attending
yes.
each class. It would be really
Bigger number.
difficult because if we cut down students, the percentage, what will happen?
Yeah,
We won't be able to accommodate. We don't have many spaces for the for the student. If we have like 12 students in one class, we need
yeah.
more classes, more rooms particularly. So it is very
Mm,
difficult. We can't build another separate area for
exactly.
some
Yeah,
students, and
yeah,
also we
Let me
can't
yeah.
let
send
me
these
let me do
students
a
to another
correction.
school. So this is
I'm
very
sorry
difficult.
to interrupt.
This is
When I said
yes.
12 student, I meant to say, let's say example, a class have 48 student, example, right?
Yeah.
They're allowing only 12 students to attend that class. The rest 36 students will be attend same class via online.
Okay. Can
So
I
that,
just interrupt?
yeah,
In this country, what we did some kind of risk assessment. We found out because USA, sorry, probably slightly different than this country. In this country, many disadvantaged students, they live in accommodation, overcrowding, many siblings living, and
Yes,
also internet and safety, other issues. Parents, grandparents, a lot of joint families, they're living together. Ethnic minorities, particularly, or there are
yeah,
many other groups as well. They live within, few 7, 8, 10 members within a family. It is very difficult. We did
yeah.
try some lessons online. We had, as sister mentioned, Sabia, you mentioned about this special need. Our teachers during this time since March, our some of the special need teachers, they supported some students one-to-one through online. There are
Mm,
possibilities, but again, many students, we would say 30-40% students in this country, very difficult for them to join in through internet because they have
mm,
issues about overcrowding, big
mm,
families living indoor, they will not be able to interact properly. These are another issues, and also safety and joining internet. This is another one as well.
Juhaina, anything you can comment on that?
Well, I think, yeah, a lot of children would be able to join in, but again, I think 30-40% would not be, because you have to understand most of the schools here are run by the government, and they are funded by the government. There are a mix of different school students, and it is difficult. I think not just only as internet access or anything. When children are homeschooled, or when they are being taught in school using access through the internet, it is very, very difficult for the children even to have access to a computer for themselves while they are doing the studies. And just imagine the sheer volume of the effort and the resources that every children would need. We were very lucky, because my kids go to a school called school governed by ARC.
Right.
They run a lot of academies.
Yeah.
And they literally gave out a little their reading Amazon Kindles to the children, so that they can read while they're here. But it really, I think, as a parent, I don't think, and the primary skills children parent, I don't think it worked very well during the lockdown. So for me, I am totally full go for going back to school, because I think kids are getting disadvantaged, not just only mentally, socially, but also physically. The amount of exercise or the activities in the school, that had those are huge advantages. I know there is always that risk. You have children who are going to be carriers and bring in the potential virus being carried around by the kids. But if you are lucky enough not to be living with a very vulnerable person, then why not? Because the only way out of this whole thing is vaccines or your own immunity. So that's the way out. Either you build your immunity and be able to say whatever, it doesn't really matter if the virus affects me.
Well, that's a very valid point.
You get into a vaccine. And when is the vaccine going to come? Are we going to stop all our economic activity? Are we going to stop? Literally, you still need to buy the groceries. UK has luckily cushioned a lot of the families by giving all these economic grants, trying to help businesses go and regrow. And the property sector, they're slashing all these taxes and everything. But how long are we going to run the government dry and still say, I'm afraid I'm going to stay locked down? But you can't. You have to go out.
Well, going back onto the building up your immunity, school lunches, are we going to have more greens on our menu, with lots of vitamin C type food, hopefully. I know Mr. Malique has a lovely organic garden, which he has all of his greens, which he kindly showed me earlier. And it's like, that's the way forward. We need to build our immunity. So how have school lunches been changed any? Are you aware of anything like that, Mr. Choudhury, for your schools? And then maybe if Mr. Malique can add something on that as well.
As far as I know, our intention to give children hot meal, proper healthy meal. Definitely in school we provide them with healthy option. However, during this, as I said, we taught some children over the last few months. We had some issues because we had some children that had hot food, and some children they're supplied with normal sandwich and water. So
is this the packed lunches we're talking about?
Like a packed lunch we supplied because we had to maintain the distance. That's why.
Right.
But now back in September, what I have seen the routine in my schools, we are going to have, as I mentioned, different timetable for the lunch. So and lunch timetable will be shortened. So what will happen? They will have So 20 minutes lunch in the dinner hall, and they will go outside in the playground for maybe another 20-25 minutes, and then they go back to class. Usually they have 1 hour break, so that will be shortened due to we have to accommodate different groups, different bubbles within
Sure.
within the school time, lunchtime. So
Yeah.
lunch will start from 11:15 around that time,
Right.
and it will carry on
Okay.
until 1:45. So within
Wow.
that period from year nursery, well, nursery particularly, they will eat within the nursery because there is a facility there.
Yeah.
So the food will be taken by the adults, and they will be eaten over there.
Right.
Other groups from year one reception onwards, year six, they will have hot lunch in different timetable for them.
Right. 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 Brilliant. Mr. Malik, any difference in the way US schools operate or
Definitely.
anything
So one
changes?
of the issues that rise from the beginning, when pandemic started, obviously the school year was on. As soon as they canceled the school year, the kids were home. One of the issues that everybody has to face was how we deliver the lunch to the disadvantaged children, the poor children, because
Mm-hmm.
some of the children come to school, get a big advantage. They're getting a breakfast, then getting a lunch, right? So what the state did immediately, they kept the program going. So let's say you go to a particular school, you receive lunch or dinner or
Mm-hmm.
breakfast. They kept the
Yeah.
same program. Only thing you have to do, they open a drive-through. You go there,
Right.
you get your meal, and absolutely, it was fantastic program. I think I give credit to a lot of state official for that.
Yeah.
So maintained, because as Mr. Choudhury says, there is a huge advantage of some student
Right.
to school, obviously interacting with the student, getting their education, but also getting a free meal, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
our state, whose kids who are disadvantaged, but poor kids, they get what you call free lunch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to pay for some money. You have to pay for the lunch. So that
Sure.
program was opened. It was very successful. So every school in our county that closed, they're providing the meal. Also, in terms of the online classes, I'll tell you this. I think we are back. I will go back about 10 years.
Right.
During President Obama's presidency, he
Right.
initiated a program called that kids have to have some secondary option of learning, right? So he's
Right.
giving out the students the all the means, all the resources like a laptop, the device, So my kids growing up, let's say from high school, they have this option,
Mm.
sort of learning from some of the classes from home. So
Yeah.
it gave us an advantage. As soon as the COVID-19 hits, I think our state was more prepared. Again, I'm not going to talk about the entire, US is so
No,
huge.
no. Yeah, you can only say what your area is like. I mean, what you're facing. Yeah.
Correct. So kids are very much, like, it is almost like a piece of cake for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going online, having a class, like I'm having a discussion with you, they're doing it every day, and,
Right.
and loved it. Yes, I agree with our other guests that there is some disadvantage, okay? And the way we maintain it, not everybody is lucky enough, if you have a family, do your family gathering, less kids meets on Saturday, do some
Mm-hmm.
activities, I have a nice backyard. We bring other kids, my
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
sister-in-law's kids, they come and play. We are doing those, so the kids don't feel that they're completely shut out of, they're not doing anything. But think about this pandemic, like everybody said, like, when are you going to have a vaccine? I
Yeah.
am involved in some biomedical stuff, and I can tell you this: everyone is trying, right? Everyone is trying their
Mm-hmm.
best. You cannot put something out. I'll tell you how the medicine works. Let's say you go and find a vaccine, you have to
Mm.
do what we call it a clinical study, and clinical study may take 4, 5, 6 years
Right.
until they put this on a human,
Yeah.
because there is no
Yeah.
way you can check a drugs. So let's
Yeah.
say we talk about our president, he said, okay, you can use this or that, but that's not how you take on a disease like that. You have to be
Right.
precise, you have to have a plan, and CDC, we're proud that
Sure.
Georgia is the headquarters of the CDC, Center for
Yeah.
Disease Control. I have
Yeah.
a scientist who works in my company,
Yeah.
who is the director of NIH, which is National Institute of Health.
Yeah.
I mean, very much getting updates, not
Yeah.
officially, unofficially,
Yeah.
that they're
Right.
working very hard, and maybe soon enough we'll have a vaccine.
Okay. Well,
But there are we are putting so much resources behind that. So I
yeah.
can assure
Yeah.
you, not officially, unofficially,
Right.
that there
Yeah.
are progress been made. Uh,
Made.
they're
Right.
working on it, and hopefully, we see it soon.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
just add?
So
Can I just add, Muhammad Malik, what you mentioned about the food during this period since last March? A lot of disadvantaged families they had vouchers from the government, and also during the summer holidays, the first time ever in this country, students were given. Those are entitled to get free meal. They're given
yeah.
some vouchers and food support from my school, from many schools in this country. They are
Yeah.
given dry food as well. And Manchester United player, I think his name is Marcus. He just wrote to the government, and because the government later agreed to support the students during the summer holidays. Usually in school, we give free breakfast to
Mm,
students. There are many students that come in
mm,
the morning from 8 o'clock
mm.
onwards to have free, obviously breakfast. But this time, obviously, we can't due to COVID.
No. No.
But hopefully, there'll be more vouchers and more food will be coming, and they'll be supplied to those parents and those students.
Yeah.
They are disadvantaged and they can't afford to buy many foods.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for that, Mr. Choudhury. Because if I remember, we in UK we've had things like breakfast clubs and after school clubs for those students who don't sometimes find themselves having a proper meal, anywhere else but the school. And again, especially at this COVID time, like what Juhaina mentioned about building up your immune system. I'm all for that. I mean, don't get me wrong, Juhaina, but I want my child to go back to school. I am really, really concerned the fact that 5 months has gone down the line, and knowing that, I have a child who is due to take her GCSEs next year. I mean, we had the madness of GCSEs, of how it was assessed this year, where children couldn't take the exams. So I don't know whether that's a relief for my child, for example, or whether, I mean, we don't know how it will be, next academic year. We can't really foresee. I mean, did we ever think we would have like a pandemic as we did? And thinking of building up your immune system, making yourself, building a barrier as such, I would say, to put yourself out there around people. So us as parents, naturally, we have that, feeling. We want our children to go back to school, but at the same time, we're feeling, well, do I want to expose my child out there? And these things we took for granted before. We think these kinds of things, and where do we go for reassurance apart from now that our government in the UK has, given us the ruling that parents could be fined now if they don't send, because we have to start thinking of the well-being of the child. We need to get them back into school. Mr. Choudhury, can I get your thoughts on that?
Well, as you know, some schools in other country, I think Wales or Scotland, I'm not sure, maybe Scotland, when the school opened earlier, they opened in end of August, and they had some outbreak of COVID in their school. 67 students probably were affected in different schools. So they
Yeah.
try to, they have been checking that. Obviously, when they will start in England, what government is saying, if they see the R rate, the production rate, if it is increased, obviously they need to think about it's over 1, and it's going to, if it increases, then obviously they have to make a decision whether they can do local lockdown. And if they do local lockdown, then definitely they have to close down the schools in that particular area. The area is going to be locked down. So,
Sorry, can I add on there, Mr. Choudhury?
Yes,
What
please.
will it take the school if a child or a staff member was found positive? What does it take the school before maybe it's closed down or shut down for a certain number of period? I mean, can you elaborate on that?
As far as I know, what we are given the guidance, as I mentioned earlier about the bubble. Say, for example, within the particular bubble, if they find out one person is positive, so they
Right.
will take action straight away. They will ask question. I can give a personal example very quickly. Couple of months back, my daughter went. She became unwell. She had temperature. She had this symptom like COVID. She called the
How
doctor.
old is she?
My daughter, she is 22 years old.
Okay.
So she went out actually on the public transport to meet a friend about something important. And after 2 days, she started suddenly getting temperature. So quickly, she called the GP, and GP suspected that you have COVID, so go for test straight away.
Right.
Next day, I'm supposed to go to school to teach. So I called my head teacher. I spoke to the deputy later on, and
Right.
he advised me, don't come. And the students I taught day before, just 12 children, they were told
Right.
not to come to school. And the colleague
Right.
I worked with, so two of us, we were teaching 12 children. Straight away, they
Yeah.
were off, straight away. And I was asked to go for test for the whole family. And if they
Right.
come negative, my daughter, myself, and my wife, then
Right.
I can go back to school. If anybody, any of us, obviously, my daughter is unwell, then I have to give 14 days. So what happened later is lucky, all the results came negative. So I had to go back to school after 4 days. So that's what happened.
Right.
So as far as I know, if anybody becomes unwell, definitely the school will make a decision about the whole bubble or the whole schools. Maybe a couple of year groups they will shut down, or they will close. They might close down the school as well if they see serious. Obviously, seriousness of the issue, and they will take advice from the education authority as well as
Right.
other medical professionals.
Yeah.
In this
Yeah.
regard, yeah, I'd like to add. You see,
Sure.
I'm just going to take what Mr. Siraj just explained. Do we want to do this? Do we want to become like a guinea pig, or we need to straight decide what we would like to do? So I would say this: look, if you want to send your children to school, is fine,
Yeah.
but you are taking a risk, okay? And the risk is what Mr. Siraj just explained.
Yeah.
So I would say, if I was a parent, I probably against it, and against it for this reason: something so unknown, right? So unfamiliar, and if somebody said to me, or many people said that, oh, children are immune from this. They're not. I can give you many cases, and I have studied that children are getting infected by it. They're dying
Right.
also. So I don't think this should be a scenario. Children become exposed. Let me tell you how many steps they will be exposed to. So when children leaving the
Yeah.
house, right? First person they will see somebody attending them to getting to the bus, correct? To the bus stand,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bus driver.
So they're already
the bus
exposed,
itself.
aren't they?
So that whole transportation point need to be super clean, correct? Then in the bus, how many kids coming? Are they sick? Who is gonna tell me that my kids won't be get affected by the other kids? Normally, in a normal scenario, children or parents was told, don't send your kid. I'm not talking about the COVID-19, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Told your kids have cold, other symptoms, keep them home. I seen many days kids are in the bus like they're sneezing. They're like, boogie all over the, whatever you call it in English.
Yeah.
They are, because as soon as you say, okay, fine, kids go to school, parents will love it because they have to go to work. They have one less thing to worry about, and we're gonna have the same problem that we had before. That's why,
Various different reasons.
and
Yeah.
I'm coming from where we studied, and see, and you'll see that definitely you'll see that. I'm sure in state of Georgia, other counties, not our county, obviously,
Well,
our county is not
yeah.
having any live classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will have it. They will
Yeah.
have this.
To be
cannot-
honest, to be honest, Mr. Malik, it's like it really is down to us as individuals. To be honest with you, and
One
also,
other, I'm sorry to interrupt. One other thing, we need to be very clear about it. It is up to us, an individual, as a parent, to how to protect yourself. There is no other remedy there. The only remedy is anytime you go out, you need to protect, wash yourself. You see you should not be anywhere that you don't need to be. You limit your activities. That's the only remedy you have right now. There is no drugs, no advice, no guru, nothing can happen.
no.
Putting people together is dangerous to do, especially children. So I'm completely, if you ask me, my opinion, my children are not attending any, but I think it's still too early for us to do this. So what they're doing basically, the government, I would say, in many countries, and especially even in the US government wanted people to go back to work. They wanted to do all this because the election coming up, right? So it's almost a political decision, not not a human decision.
No,
If,
for so many
if
reasons
this
there.
year was an
Yeah.
election year,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he would have said, forget about school, stay home,
Yeah.
study home. We have the best of the best, in
Yeah.
terms
I
of
think.
internet, in terms of
Yeah.
resources. Yes, because you
Right.
cannot take a risk like that. Because if you do, and if the pandemic started, like what Mr. Sirajul just said, it happened to his daughter, then he was told to do this. Can you imagine how many steps we're doing? Why?
Well, can I? Sorry, I
I was going to
just
say, Juhaina, please say.
voice of my. Yeah, I think I understand the risk, and Mr. Malik, I agree with you partially, but I also disagree with you because I know the UK government, if even UK government, you might say that we have decided, the government has decided to send everybody else, but in US, yeah, it might have been a political decision, but UK it wasn't. And there is quite a lot of Imperial College related studies that's been backing up these sort of approach. The thing is, it is a risk we have to accept. And there is no doubt that there is going to be some risk. When you go out for even normal time without COVID, if you went out on your journey to school, you have the risk of being run over by a car. And that is a normal risk. We all run risk every day of our lives. Everything we do, there is always an associate level of risk.
But
Now,
those risks is no risk. These are no risk.
what I'm trying to say is that we need to figure out a way of coming out of it. You cannot, I mean, you can say the government is taking these decisions because of political stuff and all of that. I've been on the other side of the government because I did work for the government.
No, I think you misunderstood. What I said is this. I'm just saying, look, what risk you're talking about is a known risk. The known risk is something I know. If I hit a car, if I die. No, I'm talking about something unknown. Nobody knows now what might happen to you when you go out, right? I'm not talking
We
about the known risk.
we do, Mr. Malik.
No,
We've been in pandemic situation for more than 5 months. We do have enough data. We have some information, at least. We can't, I mean, the fact that you are saying that we're going to, Mr. Choudhury was saying that we've put in bubbles, bubbles being put in for classes. Yes, we have to come out of it. How you come out of it, how you manage the process is totally, something that it depends on. Let's say your government, your local government is doing certain things in certain ways, and UK government is doing certain things in certain ways. And I totally, I think we need to we need to stop being chicken scared.
it's not about chicken and
Maybe that's not a fair way of putting it.
There are
Sorry,
studies.
maybe maybe that's not
Only
a fair
places
way.
in countries.
Well,
I
apologize.
can I
What I'm
just
saying is that if we're so scared, we will stop
No,
living,
it's not about scared.
and we are going to jeopardize the children's future. That's what we are doing. If we
You're
don't allow them to
liberal.
learn, interact.
These are called two liberal people. Okay, what you just mentioned is too liberal. Take your view. Look, we're not limiting anything. You should. So that's what I always tell people. Look, you come and see how we live. Right. That's the only I can show you how this state is running. I'm not talking about politics. I'm not a politician. What I'm saying is this: if I know, if everyone's talking, if I know a known risk and there is a known remedy for it, the best way possible to protect yourself, obviously, mask and the gloves and all the things, but not to put children at risk. I think it's too early. You can wait a little bit. Nothing's going to go wrong with that. I'm just saying.
I think what's happening here, Mr. Malik, is
But again,
we are
Muhammad
landed
Malik,
in it.
what you said in America probably still because of, I'm not using the word recklessness because the American president, what he did, the way he mentioned, whatever, over nearly 200,000 people died. But in this country now, I'm not saying safe, but very controlled now. You can say R rate reproduction is less than 1, and they're observing. Government is very strict now. However, if the children don't go to school, first of all, Juhaina, Junaid, we mentioned about mental health earlier. Mental health is very important for children. If they don't interact, their mental health will be affected. And some children, the disadvantaged group particularly, I know affluent parents, they may afford things, so they are probably supporting their children in a better way. But those disadvantaged group, Sabia mentioned about special need group, they need really good support from schools, one-to-one support. It is very difficult if they don't get support. Last 5 months they didn't have much support, but now if they don't have support, if they end up like another 5 months like this, the problem is they will suffer. And also vitamin D, going out, physical exercise. So we need to start somewhere. If we start, then if we see there is a risk, obviously the government authority, education authority will decide what to do next. I know we are taking risk. We cannot say 100% safe, but we need to take certain risk to see what happens. However, we have to take precaution like PPE, proper PPE. And nowadays, if you go out in UK, in London, particularly where I live, I can see people are going out shopping. Children, families, they're mixing. During Eid, last Eid, many Muslim families, they are mixing, free mixing, like 20, 30 people. Even in Birmingham, what they did, the police had to go like about 20 places to stop. So many parents, they are taking their children in places. They are taking risk as well. Schools, we are maintaining. Believe me, what I have seen, I have never seen in my life. We have employed cleaners. We have like hand sanitizer everywhere, maintaining system. So much better than I would say on the public transport or any other places.
Thank you for that, Mr. Choudhury.
I totally agree with Mr. Choudhury, because you have to take the risk. Yes, a controlled risk. You must know what we are doing, and that is what we need to do, because you have to weigh out, is it worthwhile keeping them still locked in, because the children are really mentally and socially they're getting isolated, and that is really not what we want our future to look like. And as a parent, I don't want my children to constantly, even though I can afford a backyard, I can afford all of that, but my children's friends are important for my children.
One thing for sure.
Let me answer the question very
the teachers, so important for my children.
I agree with everything we said. As a parent, my daughter is 22 years old. I don't think she grew up at home. She grew up, went to school, and not only that, I don't know if I can show you my 5 children. I have 5 children. All of them are black belt, right? You don't earn a black belt just sitting home, right? I understand you. I'm a parent. I'm a parent first. What I'm saying is this. You're saying weighing the risk. You weigh the risk where you know what the risk is. We don't know. We're battling something unknown. What I'm saying is this. If it takes 5 months, let's say example, hypothetically speaking, get a better, say the COVID-19 ratio come down a little bit, right? And then we start the process. Absolutely, I agree with you. 110%. Kids has to go to school.
Mr. Malique, we have already had 5 months gone down the line, have we not? How much more? I'm just looking around us at the moment, and we are all anxious parents, anxious teachers, and we've landed in something which is unknown. But how do we get around it the best way possible? The fact that we have to deal with, we have to take some actions. And what Mr. Choudhury has mentioned, there are some measures put in place for us here, and, we have to start somewhere, putting our fears aside and dealing with this virus the best way as possible. How much more do we sit at home, tight, doing homeschooling?
I'll give you the right answer. He mentioned it in Scotland, right? I can give you 10 different examples like that, how many children get affected already, right? So look, you have an option. You can take it. You can do whatever you do. Like normally, you send your kids to home, take the risk. When the kids come home, they will be affected. Others, but they will be exposed to the adults. I'm not saying I'm not against the whole process. What I'm saying is, I think because of the pandemic is coming down, we are not. What I'm saying is, we don't want to fuel the pandemic. You get it? Fueling
no, I understand.
Right? And we're pouring gasoline on it. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's fine. Okay, everyone.
Like a brilliant student staying home. I love outside, love outdoor. They have to be outside. They should be interacting. But I think the time is not right. This is not the time we talk about, the freedom or lockdown. No, you should.
Exactly.
Contained. Listen to me. My state or state of New York, anybody entering the state 14 days quarantine automatically.
Yeah.
Do you think in a democratic nation that's doable? I don't think so. But people
Yeah.
are doing it without ask any questions because they realize is this
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
will be killed. That's
Yeah.
it. That's the
Okay.
fear.
Yeah, I just want to remind our guests, we are coming to the end of our show, and we've had some valid points and some very, very important and significant views from everyone. What I would like to say is that if you can just say your last few comments before we go. And it just seems like we are all anxious parents, anxious teachers, and we want to work around the best way possible, with schools putting in their measures, doing their risk assessments, putting more so putting our fears aside as much as possible, and being more alert about this virus. Try and find out a bit more about how we can go about these things. Last few words from yourself, Juhaina, if I can have before we wrap up, and then Mr. Malique, if you can say something, and then I'll have to sort of like say goodbye to everyone, and hope to speak to you guys soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thanks, Sabia. I think, as it was meant during the discussion, I think it came out. I feel that you need to weigh out the risk, and we need to have a controlled way of coming out of it. And it is very important, not just for our economy, but most importantly for the children, because as a parent, I'm really concerned that we as parents are not being able to do 100% as they would be getting if they got to back to school. Yes, there is a risk. We have to have a controlled way of dealing with it, but we also need to look at the children's health, mental health, their well-being, their physical health. All those things come into play. And I think both my kids being very young compared to Mr. Malique's children, I feel you need to I need to give them that opportunity. So if I keep them locked up, it's not necessarily going to be the best option for kids. Yes, I would have loved to keep them wrapped up in a cotton wool and not get them exposed to anything if I could, but that's not the right way. I need to get them to build their immune system. I need to get them to interact. I need to look at the future. And I think keeping everything locked up, if we have a choice of having a controlled approach to managing that risk, I would rather take that.
Thank you very much for that. Mr. Malique, if I can ask you just to...
So I'll give a perfect example what she says and about the risk. In the US, there are 20% folks who doesn't believe in vaccines, and there are similar studies done in UK and other states. What that means is people who are not getting vaccinated, they will have an issue, and there are issues happening. People are dying. So what I'm saying is this: I understand what's happening right now. It's a time. It's not the time. It's a very difficult time. Okay, and we need to face it. We need to take care of it. We need to look at it. And the best thing you can do to take care of self, to precaution. If you go out, wear mask. If you don't need to go out very much, you should not do it.
Definitely.
Give some time. I think we are in the sort of what you call relaxed sort of the pandemic, right? It's going down. I'm saying is, look, do not fuel it. If you do, like what happened in the state of Georgia, I'll tell you. I'll give you an example. State of Georgia was, yes, we're having some issues at the beginning. Then was completely came down, and then our governor announced that fine, you can go out. The day he announced, next day I visited a Starbucks. There was no place, not even a single chair was available, and they're all strangers together. Immediately, after 10 days, the state of Georgia was announced heavy pandemic. How much was percentage? 600% more.
Wow.
Can you imagine? So I'm saying, look, you can do whatever you want, you can feel whatever you want, but it's not the time of feeling. It's not the time that, who like to have their children at home? Nobody likes them. But you have to think about it and look, this is the better for your children. This is the better for our community. And if they stay alive, then you can talk about the mental health. We can talk about their growth and all the other things. You have to stay alive first. And the most of the messages we get now from everyone. It says what? Stay safe,
Yeah.
stay alive.
Right.
So we
Thank
do
you.
that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Choudhury. Yes, as I was saying, we're just wrapping up. We've come to the end of the show. If you could kindly just say a few things to end it off. Anything you'd like to add on or mention what we can leave with some reassurance, maybe going back to school. Mr. Choudhury, can you hear me? Mr. Choudhury? Hello, Mr. Choudhury, can you hear me? Mr. Choudhury? Okay,
got two-way.
Okay, I can't hear Mr. Choudhury, although I can see.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Sorry,
yeah,
I was being cut
your
off
last
because of the
comment,
battery. Then I
Mr.
had to join through
Choudhury,
my
please.
mobile phone.
Yeah.
Now it's not. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Just
Can you hear
saying
me
that
now?
yeah, I can hear you. Just saying that we're finishing.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, I had some problem with my battery. Just very quickly.
That's okay.
I can say. I mean, very nice to talk to your guest. Excellent. And know now what is happening in the USA. However, in this country, we have to try out because as the parent mentioned, as well as Sabia, you mentioned, last 5 months, the students have been away from school. And we really want to see, some interaction and also some learning to be happening.
Yeah.
So we are as teacher in schools, we are trying our best to maintain the safety. Obviously, we can't give 100% safety. As government mentioned, the chief scientific officer, children's transmission rate is low, and also we are taking the precaution. So I would like to say to the parents and those parents that are concerned, we are doing our best. However, when we start, after maybe a couple of weeks, we will see what is happening. If something is very risky, something unsafe, obviously government, school authority, education authority will make a decision. But until then, I would request parents to trust to schools. We can start our school and we can see our children are learning as they did before. And we'll take a bit of risks. But if it comes negative, obviously, we'll take precaution. I mean, this is what I would like to say.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you very much. I'd just like to thank all my guests for coming, making the time, and contributing, everything that you have. And I hope to see and speak with you again very, very soon. So thank you all very much again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so yes, that was quite a moment to reflect and see what is going on with going back to school. Parents in England could face sanctions if they fail to send their children back to school. But rest assured, we've found that even though it's an anxious time for parents, there are some reassurance that schools are taking measures, to make it as safe as possible for the children. With what we've heard from Mr. Choudhury, and also some comments from Junaid. And what we are seeing is it's been 5 long months, and our children have been indoors doing as much as possible, and us as parents, doing homeschooling with them as much as possible. But it will be the first time in England where primary and secondary schools go back full time and fully reopening, and we will see how we can wean ourselves as well as our kids back into school safely and securely. And I hope that everyone do stay alert, take all the safety precautions, follow the guidelines, listen to, what the teaching staff have to say. This goes out to the parents as well. And, we can all hope for the best. And, it's an uncertain time, let's stay alert and do our best, and try and see around us, what there is, and try and be as safe as possible and consider others. Thank you again for joining me here, SABIA KHATUN, on Vodcast. If you like what you see, do get in touch with us and let us know any other topics that you would like to come and let's talk about it with SABIA KHATun. Thank you again and stay safe.